welcome to the Dad Perception Podcast in person.
Oh, what's
Period. I
up?
know.
We're here, we're live. Where we at, guys?
We're in Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Viva Las Vegas.
We're excited to you that we're all here in person and we got some good topics. So first we're going to talk about finances, things that we knew 5 years ago about finances. You guys excited?
Oh, I love finances.
Yeah.
I love money.
Me too.
Yeah.
I love spending money.
Yeah, same.
Well, I think like us as a group, we want to talk about stuff that you don't just talk about in clinic.
That's true.
So I feel like this is like a great topic that we don't learn about
In
necessarily.
school.
Yeah.
Because they just want our money.
I don't
Exactly.
remember ever learning
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
finances in school, so
Nope.
yeah, I love this.
Yeah, it's great.
Let's get in depth.
Let's do it. Funny. I like it. So let's talk about finances. One of the topics I wanted to bring up was budgeting. Does anybody do anything with budgeting their money or not do anything and want to be open about it? And I'll give some thoughts after too.
Yeah, budgeting. Yeah, I mean, I try to take out like all of my savings first so I don't spend it. So I usually try to put like 50% into like a savings account every time I get a paycheck so that I know I can't spend that money, I guess, in a sense. And then at the end of the week, if I like need to pull some out of the savings, I can. But I like to just give myself this like limit, basically. So that's kind of how I budget things. Like I give myself like a spending limit.
Yeah.
per paycheck.
Anybody else have a system?
What do you do?
I don't have a system, unfortunately. I mean, I feel like I don't budget, but I just like manage. I just like make sure that I'm focusing and like paying attention to like, you know, what's going in and what's coming in and going out. But I don't necessarily budget. I think like once I start working for real, like I'm gonna have more of a structure. I think the best way to do it is to have like where you kind of like you said, where you don't see like one part and it just goes directly to your savings.
Right.
And then like you budget what you have accordingly.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. What do you do?
So I have a full Excel sheet for budgeting,
Oh,
but that's
wow.
only because I'm a student and all my money is mainly loans.
Right.
So it's like this amount of loans is for rent. This amount of loans is I took out some loans for Mari, like Mari's food. You know, like, it's so small, but you know, Mari's my dog. If you don't know yet. Yeah, that, and then I have like other little sections like personal spending money, and like just it's broken down.
Yeah. Things that I like from everybody: paying attention, seeing what you're doing, and then being conscious about it. Right? I think conscious spending is the key. I personally have like an app where I track everything. Excel sheet works too. And I think the important thing is to know where your money's going and then be consistent about it. If you're going to overspend, then how do you go next month about underspending so you can balance that budget?
What app are you using?
It's called Every Dollar. So essentially, anytime
Why
I
do you
spend
like
$1, I like it because it's right there for me, really easy and convenient. Where it already formats like an Excel sheet in the app, and then you can just insert anything. So like I just Venmo'd you right now.
Yeah.
I put it in there. Now I know how much I spent this much on what topics, like what categories, and then next month I'm gonna react and make sure I reach those goals, right? And so I think the budgeting is important because it's also going to help us with how we're going to go talk about investing and what we want to do long term. So I like the keys, what I took away from you all, paying attention to what you're doing, even if you're intuitively doing it, setting up some sort of Excel sheet, and then also that's a good segue for what we want to talk about next, I think. You said you're using a savings account.
Yeah.
Do you mind expanding on that a little
Yeah,
bit?
I'm now saving for a wedding.
Hey.
Just, you know, anyway. It's just,
So beautiful.
this hand is so heavy right now. So I think it's cool too. I also did that, like I'd put everything into a savings account and then every month I'd be like, okay, I can only spend like $300 of this money. So then I'd like only put that amount into my bank account so I knew like this is how much money I have left to be spending every month, right? So I feel like savings accounts are nice. They don't have like a high return on investment, but you know, you get a little something. And so it's nice to like pull money that I know I can't spend and just keep it safe at somewhere. And then if I need to, because I just bought a car at the beginning of the year, so I can pull money out of that, you know, but it's nice because you have that like extra cushion just in case. So I like my savings account, yeah.
Does anybody else have any saving accounts that you're using? I have one myself, so I'm happy to talk about that too. All right, so I like that you're using a saving account. Saving account is great, especially because it sounds like you need that flexible cash, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that I think is very important, investing and trying to get a high rate of return is important. But then the balancing, if you're investing money, there's going to be a risk of that money not coming back to you, but then you have a higher ceiling of getting a higher return. So I like that you're putting this in a savings account because you have that flexible cash. There are high savings account, which is what you were like saying it to yourself. You're like, oh yeah, I should have a higher rate of return.
Yeah.
Like for mine, I go through Lower Road as a company I'm working through. They give 5% back.
Nice.
And so that money I can take out anytime. And something I would suggest, and I can send you a referral link.
Yeah,
no
I
worries.
want to go.
And
5%? Wow.
whether it's that company or another
All the
company,
plugs right
yeah.
now. Plugs is all
that's money that's compounding on itself. So let's say you put $500. That $500 next year turns into, I'm just gonna throw out a number, $525, and then it keeps expanding on itself, right? So it's money that we're losing out on, and it has a compounding effect. And I think that's why investing is actually more important. Like a lot of our parents teach us like saving is so important.
Yeah.
I think that's like old school, because with inflation, your dollar today is worse than it was tomorrow. And so that's where, like in the stock market, they say you can get like 8 to 10% rate of return by just putting it on like the general funds, where you can put like the overall stock market, and that's 8 to 10% we could be missing if we're just putting it in a bank account.
Yeah.
And so that's where I think using like a high yield savings account, and if you need that flexible cash, or putting in the stock market, even on like general funds, which we can talk about, is like very important.
Yeah, I like to invest too. I have a 401k now, so I tried to have them, they give me a 3%, and then I was like, yeah, just put another 4% so that it's an even, I forgot, like whatever the amount is.
In case someone doesn't know what 401k is, do you want to give a little background, or you want me to explain that part?
Yeah, I don't know what it is,
so what she's saying is, she said a couple things.
Whatever it is, I have one
Doug
of
and
those.
Nadia are like, yeah, we want it.
It's a really far distance to run, that's what it is.
That's a really long race.
What I heard.
Yeah.
I never ran that far, but I'm running.
401k.
Okay, so how do you get one? What is it?
So 401k essentially is a way to put money. Let's say you have a paycheck, and let's just throw out a number. You make $100,000. You can invest money from your paycheck. Let's say out of that $100,000, I'm deciding I'm gonna put $20,000 in the stock market through the 401k through my work.
Okay.
That $20,000 gets out of my paycheck, but the thing is, it's not taxed. So tax is important, because even though we say we're going to make $100,000 this year, you actually end up making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 that's coming in your pocket, not actually $100,000 because of tax.
Right.
So tax is like a huge thing you all have to remember and think about when you get these salaries. Like, you're not actually making that number 100%. And so the trouble is, how do you put more money in your pocket? With this 401k, if you put money in the stock market, that comes out of your paycheck. Instead of getting taxed, let's say I make $100,000, I'm getting taxed like I make $80,000. So they take less tax from me, which puts more money in my pocket. Plus, because I'm putting money from my paycheck, it compounds each other. And this 401k, you can't take it till you're retiring, so you're forced to keep it till you're 65. So imagine $20,000 from your paycheck. That's compounding over 30 years. That's gonna, you can put it in an interest calculator online. That's gonna be so much more when you retire. And so not only are you getting taxed less, you're investing more in retirement. The only downside is you're gonna get taxed when you're 65 or 60 or when you're retirement age. Which could be bad if you're making a lot of money then, but realistically, you would expect yourself to not make money as much as you are now.
Right.
And that's super key. So another thing you said there was matching, right?
Yeah.
Matching is essentially where some companies, they'll give you free money. It's called like 3% matching. They'll put in 3% of that for free, and then they'll match 3% of it. Let's say a number, and so they're basically giving you free money. If you're doing 20K, let's say whatever 3% of 20K is, let's say it's $1,500. They will put in $1,500 free dollars. So that's free money coming into your retirement.
Yeah.
So that's for sure. I'd say one tip is for sure do your 401k. For sure do your matching.
Also, because last year I worked for a different place and they didn't have a 401k, so I had to do my own Roth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did that separately.
A Roth's a good.
I'm glad you just mentioned that, because I was gonna ask, do you guys know what an IRA Roth is, or IRA?
Yeah.
So IRA is the other way to invest. That's a great segue.
Yeah.
We're talking about 401k where you do it before you get taxed. It's called like pre-tax.
Right.
Okay.
Roth is post-tax. So once I get my paycheck, let's say I have $80,000 that's coming back to me after I got taxed.
Right.
Okay.
I can now invest money into what's called an IRA. There's two different IRAs actually. There's a traditional one and a Roth one. I'm gonna focus on the Roth one because the traditional one is kind of like a 401k to some extent. The Roth one, essentially, I can put about, like this year it was $6,500 over the year into this Roth IRA. But the best part about this part is, even though I'm already taxed, I don't get taxed when I take it out when I retire. Hell yeah, right?
Yeah.
For a Roth IRA, don't you have to be making a certain amount of money though?
No.
Exactly, you do. So there are ways to get around it. There's something called a backdoor
Backdoor
IRA.
Roth.
But exactly, she knows. Do you want to talk about it?
Wait, what's
Let's
that?
open that back door, huh?
The backdoor Roth.
Okay, what's
I'm
that?
engaged now, JD. Relax.
She's right. I got a little excited there.
Yeah, so I forgot how much it's like 130, right? I forgot what the limit is.
I forget too. Somewhere around there.
Like you
So-
can't make more than one.
You
Right.
can't make that amount and put it into a regular Roth account, but you can
Okay.
do what's called a backdoor Roth, which is like you put, basically like you're only allotted like they actually just up the rates. It used to be just $6,000 a year, but now it's $6,500. So especially like people who are straight out of school, like their first year, you're not making that whole amount for that tax year, right? So that's that's why I did my full Roth that first year that I was working, because I was really just working 6 months of that year. So I put the whole thing into a regular Roth, but then this year I have to do what's called a backdoor Roth, which means I have to put money into a traditional Roth account, which doesn't have a salary limit, I guess. And then you like transfer that money then into your Roth.
I agree. So you have to do some legwork. And my recommendation to you all would be, don't take everything we're saying foolproof. Definitely do your own research. Hopefully it just sparks thoughts for you all.
Yeah.
We're not perfect here, but we're giving some good conversations, good tidbits.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
so,
I have a question.
yeah, go for it.
When do I need to open up this Roth or 1K? I mean, right now I don't have any of that.
That's a good question.
So when do I do that?
I think that's an individual question. I started doing it when I started working, when I had money. But I don't think it's also a bad idea if you don't have money and maybe you put it in when you're a student or something, right? Like if you think about it, if you're putting in 6,500, the more time you put it in, the more it's gonna be when you're like 65 and ball and retired, right? When I'm 65, I want to be going to Greece and like going on a yacht and like the 6,500,
Yeah.
right? Like
Definitely.
you gotta show me your backdoor IRA and then I'll let you in the yacht.
Hey, yo, I can show you something.
Anyways.
Relax, guys. I'm engaged.
Anyways, like maybe it's worth considering if you put 6,000 right now, being let's say 25, in 40 years from now, that might be worth than whatever you're putting in right now, even if you're taking loans to do it. But I don't know, it gets complicated if you're taking loans as a student. I would say if you have money, for sure put it in. If you don't, you could consider waiting until you're in school. But I think that's an individual question too. Because if your loan rate is like 7 to 10% of like debt or you know of a loan percentage, right? But then you're getting a return. If the return is higher, then you want to go for what's higher. If your return is lower, then you got to go what's lower. They say on average, if you just do the general stock market, like they just have like a total stock market or like something called S&P 500, which is like the biggest 500 companies. They say average rate of return is like 8 to 10%, which you compound over 40 years, like that's insane. You'll be a millionaire, easy.
Yeah. Oh, the stock market's interesting because when I was, even before I was like in school, I would have like some stocks, like Disney stock and stuff. Of course.
Joe Jonas stock, does that exist?
Yeah. I was like, I was already giving them so much money. I was like, I might as well be a shareholder in this company.
Exactly.
So now every time I spend money at Disney, I'm like, I'm just putting it back in my own pocket. I own some of this company. But yeah, I think like doing the research, because you lose money and you have to like watch it. I'm not that privy on like the stock market, but if I see some things, like I'll just see like, oh, has this been trending up in the last year or so and so. So the stock market's also a good way to invest, I think, if you kind of like do your research.
Stocks. Do you have stocks, JD?
I do. I personally, I don't have a 401k through my current employer. When I did, I was doing it. I definitely do the backdoor IRA every year. And then I invest just in the general stock market myself. And so it just automatically goes through my paycheck. And, my app is already set where I know how much I'm spending every month and I have a certain percentage. And I want to make sure I hit that. So anytime I don't overspend every month using my budget to make sure I hit my investment goals. And then I can already calculate if I'm investing this much every month till I retire, how much I'm going to have when I retire. And that's important because we don't know. If you're working in private, you're probably not going to get like a good retirement. Like some of these people work for like Kaiser, all this, they have good retirement plans. But if you're working on your own, you're going to have to worry about your own retirement. If you're going to live for 20 years from not working, you're going to have to supply that yourself. So like it's important to like think about the end game as well.
Yeah, because we got a lot of loans. Got to pay them back.
Let's talk about loans, okay? So which one of us, raise your hand, has student loan debt? Okay, so if you go to optometry school, most likely you have.
Who has the highest there?
I think she does.
Where you at?
I'm in like.
If you don't mind sharing.
It's like 460.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
I don't know if I say that, but.
Well, it's from my master's too, so I had like that 2-year master's that I did, so it's like together right now. So yeah, they're coming up. Gonna pay them back soon.
Okay, so you had them through the federal government.
I did, yeah. It's through Aidvantage is the name. So they're they're actually on pause because there's so many people applying for like the repayment now that they're like they like gave me an extra pause because they're processing my paperwork. So I actually don't owe any money until December. So it's a while.
We've been saying that for a while, right?
I know, right? So we'll see. But yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot of different plans, and it's like, should you pay it off? You're gonna have this debt, and like the interest is really high on some of them. So that's a whole other
podcast that we can do, right? If you want us to do that podcast, just comment below or reach out to us. We definitely are interested. We're not going to go into all the options right now, but I think that's like a good outline of the federal government options. Anybody else want to talk about their loan amount or how they feel like thinking about it, or do they even think about it when you're in school or graduating, that kind of thing?
So I have loans from undergrad and then optometry school, so I think right now I'm around 150-ish.
Right now?
Yeah. but I still have 2 more years, right?
True.
But to save money, I don't know if all schools do this, but my 4th year rotations, I'm trying to get, you have to have, I think it's 6 months total, like outside, so that's 2 rotations for us. And if it's outside, then you get 75% tuition reduced.
Oh,
it's
wow.
called in absentia.
We
so,
don't do that.
You guys don't have that?
Puerto Rico, definitely.
We use Florida?
No, I went to school in California.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Western didn't do
Western.
that.
Okay.
Puerto Rico didn't
Puerto
do
Rico
that?
didn't do that.
Arizona, did they do that?
They have some sort of program, which I don't know all the knowledge about, but there's
Okay.
some sort of program.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we have that. So me going, because I'm in Berkeley, if I go down to San Jose, that's far enough to get an absentia, and then going like, of course, to SoCal at the VAs down there is also counted. So I'll have that little bit of reduction in tuition at least, and I think I'll even out with like the rent and the Airbnbs, whatever I have to get down there, you know, to be at these rotations.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a good thought. I think one thing when you were talking there, like that I wish I knew, when I had student loans, I started off with actually about $230,000, and I actually refinanced, which I'll talk about.
Okay.
But like I wish that when I was in school, I was like, no, we should party, we should have fun. Like I gotta get through school. But I didn't realize, like, let's say I spent $100 in school because I bought like let's say a bag or a nice shirt to make myself feel better. That $100 after the loan and the rate, you can calculate. It's actually not $100. Like when you're spending money on loans, it could be $150, or if you compound it over time because you could invest that money, that's like $200. I've heard some speakers say, like, when you're in loans, think of it as double. Like, so when you ask yourself when you're buying something, is this worth me paying double than what it actually says? Because you're using borrowed money that you're gonna have to pay back on higher interest.
Yeah.
So that's something I wish I knew in school. Instead of saying, hey, I'm just gonna spend as much as I can, you're actually gonna pay like close to double or some crazy amount more than actually what you're spending. So keep that in mind, I would say. For me, I decided to refinance a couple years ago because they had really good interest rates. Now interest rates are basically higher, and so actually I was able to refinance to like 2.25%, and I'm like really happy, right? Because if stock market's giving me 8 to 10%, I'm going to try to put my money there and not even pay back my loans. I just pay back every month because why pay it back when it's so low, right?
It's so low.
So I'm very happy and blessed because I decided not to wait on the federal government. I was like, screw it, I don't want to, you know, we all sort of make a certain income. We don't know how it's going to go, right? So it's a bit of a gamble, but that's how I decided to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to expand on that more in future posts. But that's my thoughts on loans for all that.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been out like a year, and we've been in the COVID time since then, right? So it's all been on pause for a long time.
Which is awesome because you've been
Yeah.
saving. You're not having to pay interest on that.
Right. So that's been nice, but yeah, it's all coming. It's all coming.
So for me, I did undergrad, master's like you, and optometry. So I'm at like 299.
Oh,
299.
To be exact.
And I think in considering like work opportunities, loans was definitely on my mind, like about like student loan repayment options. So I signed with America's Best because of that. They actually give you $1,000 a month, like outside of your salary, and it just goes directly. So doing that, being able to like have the $1,000 and then like pay myself, I think will help like in terms of like trying to repay back.
Any amount,
Yeah.
any debt you can put in that.
Yeah.
That's gonna help.
And think about it too. Like I feel like a lot of us when we're in school, like we're, you know, around the same age, 25 to 35, like we were like all like, you know, wanted to get a future partner, or we all want to like buy a house, or we're gonna have kids. Like there's gonna be more loans and more shit.
I have a wedding.
Yeah.
Guys. I don't know if you know, but I got engaged
I'm a birthday.
Ah.
Ah!
on Doug's birthday. It's only about Doug this
Yeah.
How are you gonna wish each other in the future? Hey, happy birthday! Hey,
Hey, happy! I know we're gonna be like, hey, happy anniversary.
Happy birthday, happy anniversary.
Lots to remember there, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So I think we were kind of hitting like it's important to save money, and I think another way you can do that, especially when you're in school or anytime, credit cards. Does anybody want to talk about what credit cards they have or how they're using their credit cards?
All my credit cards are through my same bank, so I know how much I can spend. So I pay off my cards like 3 times a month, so that I can budget.
Good.
It's just the way that I don't want to have debt, so I always like that's part of the budgeting that I do. So instead of like, I know I like want to build credit, so I want to use the cards instead of a debit card, obviously, and then you get cash back, you know. So I just decide where I should allot the money.
Just in case anybody doesn't know, why is it better to use the credit card versus the debit?
Because you build your credit, right? So it's all based on like the credit scores and stuff. So if you use your debit card, it's just taking it straight out of your bank account, so you're not actually building credit. Versus like a credit card, it's like they check how you're paying it back, like if you're on time, like how much debt you have, that kind of thing. So it like lets them check in on you, I guess, so that when you're trying to like buy a house or something, they can see how you're like managing your money, basically.
And then too, like the rewards and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Cash
So it's
back,
like,
like
why not?
yeah.
It's like win-win if you do it the right way.
Right.
It definitely works.
So yeah, I just like to have it all together so I can look at it on one statement. So I don't like to have credit cards from like other. So everything's through Chase right now for me. So it's nice because they have like different Chase card options. So I have like 3 credit cards, but it just depends on like what I'm allotting, basically.
I want to expand more on the reward, but also the credit score. Why that's
Yeah.
important? Why is the credit score important?
Because the higher the credit score, the better chance you have of like getting lower interest rates when you're trying to get like a mortgage or if you're trying to buy a house. It's basically like a check-in, right? To let them know like, oh, can they trust you with the money?
Yeah.
Right. So you're saying by you being like a good borrower from your credit card, you can
Right.
get like a lower rate when you want to buy a practice
Right,
or you want to get into business. It's affecting your career.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's like nice to have a credit card, but it's also nice to keep the debt on it low. So I just try to pay it off like every
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah.
The easy way to monitor your credit score, this is a website called Credit Karma, and
Yeah,
they tell
I
you
have
and
the app.
online.
It's
Everybody want to
great.
talk about it?
Well, I actually use Chase. I have Chase too.
Yeah.
Chase tells you what your score is. And do they use
It does.
Credit
I don't know what company they use, but they also do. You're right.
Karma? Yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't take. I know when you look up your credit score, you get like points taken off or something
Yeah,
like
but they just
that.
don't, yeah.
Yeah, Chase doesn't do that. That's all I know.
Credit Karma
Done.
also doesn't do that. So
Okay.
Don't talk to me more.
yeah, so it's nice to kind of, I don't check that often, but like I'll just be like, oh, how's it going, and just
Yeah.
looking on it.
And I think it's cool because it tells you like when it increases and when it decreases and why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
So-
oh, if you pay off this amount, it'll go up this amount, so it gives you like
Yeah.
suggestions.
Let's talk about
Exactly, yeah.
why it goes up or down. Does any thoughts to anybody why it goes up and down?
If they like check your credit score because you want to purchase something, it like goes down.
So if they do a check on your
hard
credit,
inquiry.
that could affect your
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
Okay. What else is involved?
I have a personal story.
Go ahead.
I don't mind sharing.
Yeah.
I had a surgery back then, and then my parents, of course, are paying for my surgery, but it's in my name. And my parents changed their card, like their debit card they were paying like the hospital bill with, but it's under my name. So my credit score was going down like 20 points, and I didn't know why. I was like, what's going on? And then I kept getting collection calls, but I thought collection calls was just like spam. So they're like ignoring everything. And then I saw my credit score drop, and I was like, what's going on? Then I called, like I actually answered one of those collection calls,
Yeah.
and they were trying to like get the money from the hospital bill, but it's because my parents' card, they switched cards, and they didn't switch cards for that. It was just like an automatic payment that they were doing. So collection calls can reduce your credit score, if you're wondering.
Well,
having debt from the credit card.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, not awesome, but
No,
awesome that you caught it and
exactly.
reacted.
Definitely not.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
now my credit score is actually really good.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm a student,
Yeah,
but
so
I
you
have
gotta
good
check in on
credit.
it.
Okay, so
Exactly.
paying your credit card off can affect your credit score.
Yeah.
You said
Having the amount of debt.
inquiry, how much debt
Yeah.
you have, correct.
And it's
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
percentage wise. So if your credit line is like a certain amount on a credit card, let's say
Yeah.
it's like, so for one of the cards I have like 10 grand or whatever, let's just say, versus like a card that has like 1,000 on there. Like if you are like doing $500 on the $1,000 card, technically that's 50% of your credit line. So
Right.
it affects your score more
Right.
than if you
Yeah.
use the $500 on like a $10,000 credit line. So that's important too.
If you get a table here in Vegas and you charge it and your credit line's not that much, you're gonna get screwed,
Yeah.
or your
Yeah.
credit score,
Yeah.
could go down. I guess that's where an easy thing you could do every month or any time. You could just call your credit card company. Can I increase my credit limit? I feel like I've been using you all. I really value you all. Do you mind increasing the amount I can borrow from you? And they'll easily just increase that, which will help you. All you gotta do is ask.
Yeah.
You can
Yeah.
just call and check in.
Sure.
Yeah. Also, how long you've had your
Credits.
credits, like your loans or whatever credit lines that you're having. So length, hard inquiries. We said how much debt you have. I would say those are some of the main ones. There's some more, but Credit Karma will outline that better.
Definitely.
And I think that's important to keep track, like every
Yeah.
month, and check on that.
Yeah, being on time with your payments, that kind of thing.
Let's talk about the benefits, Doug. Any benefits from your credit card or
Yeah,
credit cards that you've seen?
what rewards are you getting?
Yeah, so I have the Capital One Venture,
Nice.
and it's awesome just because it gives you points for like traveling and things like that. So I forgot like the details of how it works, but
Yeah.
use it and it's lit. So
Yeah, I have an Amazon card that I only use for my Amazon purchases. It gives you 5% back
5%
on
That's
my
good.
Amazon purchases.
That's
So
good.
it's
That's so
like
good.
it's so nice to have just like my Amazon card
Yeah.
for Amazon stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know Taylor Swift is on the Capital One commercials?
Yeah, of course I do.
yeah,
Yeah,
Do you
that's
have
my
to
girl.
ask?
No, she's my best friend. How dare you? Should we call her right now?
yeah.
Give her a ring.
Yeah.
should I
Speaking
should I
of
call
rings.
Travis
you know him? Travis Kelce?
Yeah, me and Travis Kelce's are buds.
Your buds?
Yeah.
Call him up.
Yeah, I'll call him right after.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sounds fake. Okay, anyway.
But anyways, so like we're talking about saving money, we're talking about not getting in debt. These credit cards are so valuable because when you use these points, they add up, and you can use them for travel, for stay.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
free perks that you can get. With some of these credit cards, like Capital Venture, when I did it, I got free 100,000 points if you spent about like
Certain
four
amount of
$4 grand in 3 months, right?
Yeah, sure.
100,000 points is a lot. You could fly
Yeah.
anywhere free. You can travel. So like this is how you save money and get points, and that's where it's important to do that instead of use your debit card. Your debit card doesn't show you're a valuable borrower. It doesn't give you free points. That's why right now, I don't know. I've been using the taxis here in Vegas. I'm just going on Lyft because it's gone through my credit card.
Yeah.
The many points through it. I'm sure maybe you could add into your credit card too. So maybe that's just an excuse. But
Yeah.
the point is, you want to use your credit card. Don't use your debit card.
Got it.
And then you can build up these points. And I think Capital One is a really good card. I think we could do a whole pod on credit cards and which ones to do. And so if anybody wants to sponsor, we're open-minded here.
Yeah, Capital One,
Yeah.
Capital One,
Call
Credit
us.
Karma, you know.
Credit Karma.
Yeah.
Please call us.
Oh yeah.
I personally have 3. I have the Capital Adventure, which is a great one. I have the Chase Sapphire. I forget if I have Reserve or Preferred. There's like 2 different ones.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I also have like a basic Wells Fargo one from high
1%
school.
cashback.
Okay.
But yeah, I think it's important to have those credit lines because now one day if I buy a house or a practice, like when I'm ready to do that, they'll give me a lower interest rate. Let's say instead of 6%, it'll be 5% or something. That percent could be thousands of dollars savings when I have to do something one day. So it's important to be ready before that happens.
For sure.
And-
Save money for that OCT, you know.
Oh, wow. I need an Optos.
Optos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crucial.
Yeah.
You want to sponsor us? Optos?
Optos? Is it Optos or
I
Optos?
say
Optos.
Optos. I think it's Optos.
It's Optos.
You
Did you
said
guys
it
know
with
that?
a Hispanic
Optos.
accent.
Optos.
Optos?
Optos.
Optos?
Let's go ask them in the
Let's go.
expo hall.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
But
Alright.
We'll update you guys on how it
Yeah.
goes.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, what's the wrap up? I'm excited.
Any last minute financial thoughts, tips for students?
I would say when you buy something, think about how it could be worth more in the future, like double. Maybe tell yourself it's gonna be double if I spend this instead of. So if I spend $100, it's actually I'm spending $200 in the future. Is this worth me buying this?
Okay.
I would.
Should you really ball out till you fall out? No,
Yeah.
don't do
No,
that.
don't do that.
It's
Don't
not
do it.
worth it.
Don't,
It'll
okay.
be double. Don't do that.
And if it is, then go for it. And then if you do, I would say set up a budget, right? Like consciously spend. It's okay to say consciously I'm gonna go out and spend money, but then you're budgeted for it.
Mm.
And then I would definitely take advantage of any matching at work, doing the Roth IRA if possible, investing, doing a high yield savings account if you need that liquid cash.
Yeah, I'm
And,
ready to retire now, so. Tired.
Almost.
1 year out.
Get married first. You
Oh
just-
yeah, sorry. Did you guys hear I'm engaged?
Yeah.
Oh
That's my
wow.
birthday.
On Doug's
So
birthday.
shocking.
I know, sorry, anyway.
We're always loving to talk about this
I need
topic.
these sunglasses. It's
Yeah.
too bright.
I know,
Too
sorry. Nice pod, thanks.
All
All right.
All right. If you have any questions or definitely want to talk about these topics more, there's so much more we can go into. Even how to save on taxes, things like that. But like, let us know your questions. We really enjoyed this. Stay tuned for another episode. Take care.
right. Yeah.
Depth perception out.
Bye.